He did, and that's sometimes the trouble about being one of the top players, that there's almost that expectation to be doing it week in, week out, but you've got to remember that everyone has those off days. And it sounds wrong that, you know, a pro player shouldn't be allowed to have an off day, but there will be days where they won't be shooting as well. Maybe the headspace isn't quite there. There is so much that goes into playing a game of Halo Infinite, and it's so easy for that headspace to get ruined as well by one bad fight, one bad game, thinking or overthinking about a play that's just happened or should have happened, and disappointing your teammates or not living up to the expectations yourself. So I'm not saying that that's necessarily going to happen this week for Lucid. I think he's been on top of his game for quite some time now, but it certainly was evident that he'd been putting more time in recently after KC, right? There was that period where everyone kind of took a little bit of a break. They took their holidays. KC was, of course, so much of a big moment for these Halo players, where they put so much practice into it originally, that you want that little bit of a lull period afterwards. But now they're back into action. They're back to work, making sure they are at their very best.
Right, speaking of good headspace, we all saw the haircut, and Lucid was rocking there in the pre-show. The man looking good, headspace looking clean. We'll see if he can bring that, and the entire Optic roster bringing in the same performance they did last week. That'll be the question and the task ahead of them. I think one thing's for sure, when they are on fire, their comms are sounding good, and we're into game number 1, starting off with the man himself. Lucid gets shot back right away at back A, and we'll have to retreat just a moment as he repositions.
Always important that you keep tabs on this camouflage right at the start of the game. It sounds very basic, but it's so easy for that camo to escape and get away from you, and then later ruin a setup or pummel you into the ground if the other team has been able to get that ball and they can really just catch you off guard. It's TriPPPeY who's able to get this camo, and look what he can do with it. You got a grapple, you got a shock, you've got all the tools you could possibly want to have fun.
And this is what you want if you're TriPPPeY, and right now doesn't even know on the other side that he's behind them here on Gold Pipe. Picks up 1 too easy, gets help on it as well. Formal coming in now, will continue to maintain shock here in Pipes. Will go down, nice little flank by Taulek, so that'll be 2 dead for the Pioneers off of that. So I tell you what, this is an action-packed opening here on Oddball Recharge.
So much grenades flying into Pipes, and of course you get those grenades that spawn there as well that can be shots. You've got to be aware of them. You've got to either pick them up or get rid of them before they can be turned against you. But SoulSnipe has been able to escape with the ball here. I like that. Turn around, continue the fight, but that's, again, the green gun. It's so important that plasma pistol is used. It's so effective on not just this map, on all maps. We're starting to see more players pick it up and use it to their best potential.
TriPPPeY somehow still with the shock in hand, and the carnage and the chaos continues here as Pioneers will continue to apply pressure from Mangler Pit as well as control, and TriPPPeY will have to try to fight off that onslaught, and a little bit of a slide gets him caught out. Some fantastic shots by Druk will leave an opening, 2 dead momentarily for Optic.
It was SoulSnipe who struggled a couple of weeks ago on this game type as well, so I'm going to keep an eye on him and his stats and how he's performing against Optic, because I do feel like in any of these games in around the kind of top 4 to top 8 area, all 4 players need to be at their very best. You can't have one player just slip away and it turn into a kind of 3 versus 4. So everyone's got to be at the top of their game.
Yeah, if I'm honest here, the chaos continues here. A little bit sloppy, camo popping right now, and teams really just flying into elevator, and anyone who's played enough Halo Infinite or enough ranked will certainly be familiar with this situation where things can just get a little crazy with players pushing when there's only 2 alive, trying to push off of a push where you don't really have too much control or enough players dead, and only 22 points on the board here after this much play. Pioneers still with 2 dead, but they'll keep the pressure on, and maybe finally Optic Gaming with a little few more opportunity for points on the board.
It's a fine balance, isn't it, Andy? Because when there's only 2 of you alive, you want to be able to wait for your teammates, but you recognize that if you are too slow, another team might capitalize on that, and they might push you, and then you're not expecting it, and they catch you off guard, and then suddenly your 2 spawning teammates are without you because you've just died. So you need to be able to time it correctly. You need to have a good idea of whether you're going to be confident enough to push as a 2. Are you just going to move around the map away from the other team? There's all these different things that you do have to think about. But Pioneers, they did get shut down, but they have been able to pull that ball into a position where now they can get some time.
SoulSnipe with a risky push there to go all the way to C plat. Knows that he was going to be able to get an angle. He had help though, so they're able to get 2 dead once again. Momentary 2v2, big kills coming in. That will leave SoulSnipe as the last player alive, not Manny, who's on your screen. We'll get that fixed for you. This is SoulSnipe's POV. Last player alive, bottom A here. So Optic knows they need to try to clear him out, but to be honest, SoulSnipe doing a very good job staying alive back elevator. We know just how important this position is, especially if you're the last player alive. I think TriPPPeY with the grapple is going to get the better of him, and he will. Still 2 dead for both sides, and still just about a tied game here.
Lucid confident with the shock rifle, as most pros are nowadays. We see a lot of challenges happening with this weapon in hand. Even without the scope, people will walk around the corner and sometimes use it as a shotgun. It's that effective. in the right hands. There you go, just that body shot is enough to ensure that he got that trade after whipping out the battle rifle. But this is a very close game. I think considering what we saw previously between these two teams, I was expecting maybe more of a one-sided affair in the early stages, but Pioneers, as they always do, they come back from the death. They come back in a game type where they weren't necessarily amazing at earlier, but it seems like they've been able to work on it.
Neither team with much control at this point. It feels like it's been too dead for both sides every single time we've got on board with POVs. Manny will make use of that sword. Over at Long Haul, still 2 dead for each side will continue, and unsurprisingly, as you mentioned, essentially a tied game, 25-22 in favor of Pioneers. And to be honest, Pioneers with the last opportunity with 4 dead on Optic, but the last player alive or the last 2 alive have applied consistent pressure for the entire game. Here we are, only 127 left. It's still 25-22.
Yeah, very likely that clock could play a part in this game. And this is what Pioneers have always been about. You ask any of the other pro teams and they'll say Pioneers are so kind of all over the place. They're so difficult to play against because they seem to play quite sporadic. They seem to sometimes catch you off guard. They fly around corners when you least expect it. They play as quick as they possibly can. And Onset said in the pre-show, sometimes they can play a little bit too quick. I think in this scenario, it's really worked out for them.
My God, Foreman with a huge win from Pizza with that commando to really split the tides there. Can't pick up another one though, so it will still be 2 dead. Should be 3 dead. TriPPPeY, last player alive, and he's down on double stack. So Pioneers will continue to double their opponent's score. It's a great late run from Pioneers, and we got to give them the credit. We've talked about how chaotic this has been, and it's just like you said, it's because they have applied the pressure. When other teams might slow down and reset, Pioneers have held forward and continued to apply the pressure. Now it's a big lead for them here, 66-22.
Well, that's not a fight that he should have even been close to be able to win, but he's able to just about get the trade. The ball does get tossed out, so the setup finally broken, but that is a great amount of time for the Pioneers to be able to secure there. When you consider how scrappy it's been for the opening few minutes, I think they'll be delighted to have about a 50-point lead at this moment. And now Optic Gaming, they need to find a setup similar to that.
Great flank from Taulek at top gold. He stays alive as well. He'll escape pipes. Now he has even more help coming at back gold, which will increase the Pioneers' presence. APG was last player alive for a second. He's all the way at top elevator. This will force a pipes push for APG and Lucid. We'll see what they can do here. They need to fly in. They know the pressure's on. It's a great repulsor play. Trades coming in. 3 were dead, and Manny was last player alive, meaning Optic with an opportunity to bring the comeback. They're down by 50 points.
And there's that playmaker thing we were talking about. Manny, last alive, dives on in, faces 2 players, but gets punished for it because they were waiting for that push to happen around the corner. And now his teammates are in a 3 versus 4. Okay, it's a 3 versus 3. Now they take down 4 more, but Manny off spawn needs to be dashing towards that team to try and make it equal playing field as soon as possible. But it does seem like Optic are slowly working their way back into this one. 40 seconds left on that card, but of course, as you're holding the ball, that time is still going to stop.
Here comes the Optic comeback. They were 2 dead. A little bit of miscommunication. Their players were weak in pipes, but you saw Druk actually go batteries instead of continuing to push pipes. You have to wonder what might have been, but in the end, oh boy, the shots from Lucid tries to do it again. The double kill killing spree in back gold almost turns 3. That kill will come in as well. All 4 dead for Pioneers. 27 seconds left. They're down by about 35 points, but continuing the comeback.
Doesn't turn 3, but the beatdown was enough to allow Formal to make sure he got that kill. But still, with the timer being where it is, Optic can't afford to falter here. They have to make sure they stay on top of the game. They keep tabs on where these Pioneers players are spawning, and Formal probably needs to hit one of these shock rifle shots to give them a true advantage here in these final moments.
Here comes the push from Pioneers. They know they've got only about 1 left. The lead has all but disappeared now. It's a 10-point game. Pioneers needs to make this count. Only 25 points on the board. 2 dead for Pioneers. This could be disastrous. Make it 3 dead. Manny, last player alive, needs to pull off a hero play. Instead, likely going to wait for teammates at control. No, he will trade out. A great trade from APG. We're about to see the score change.
Score is going to change, and only 15 seconds on the clock as well. So Optic, of course, they're going to try and get as much as they can, but if they have to play this ball in some manner, it should still favor them, of course, as Formal just about gets taken down by Druk. But now we see Optic Gaming take the lead.
Only by 1 second, though. What does Pioneers have up their sleeve? Pushing in gold as well as other places on the map. But TriPPPeY with some fantastic shots. The clock will tick down. The ball will be played off of that ledge. And 80-79, they do it with style. Optic Gaming will come back and take the first round.
Notice those final moments as well. Lucid saw that the Pioneers' entourage were arriving, and he just tossed that ball out of that ledge to put it without a shadow of a doubt that Optic would be able to take it. But after such a commanding lead from the Pioneers, they've let another round slip through their fingers, and this just seems to be the story of the Pioneers at the moment. So close, but also so far.
I assume, yep, based on what we're seeing there, a little bit of a game issue there as we get into the second round. Unfortunate to see. Does give us a chance to talk about just how wild that first round was, and one heck of a way to start the day between Optic Gaming and the Pioneers. And Pioneers up 79-22 or so at one point, and Optic Gaming just playing it cool, calm, and collected.
It's happening. If Optic have an eye on spawns, if they know they're controlling the spawns in a way that they can find out where those last two KCP players are, for example, that's when they can start setting traps. They go, okay, those two are in control. We know KCP. They're gonna fly elevator. Let's make sure we have 3 players in elevator to wait and be prepared for it.
Absolutely. Now jumping right back in here, starting things off with SoulSnipe on the side of the Pioneers. He'll bring the ball back and start to rotate back. A little bit of a change of colors here on your screen as we look at SoulSnipe trying to stay alive in Whirlpool. He'll be able to do so momentarily, but the pressure is coming in from the pipe side.
Is this going to be equally as messy as it was in the early stages of last game, or are we going to see Pioneers get that pipe set up a lot earlier on? SoulSnipe knows that he's in a lot of trouble here, so he just decides to toss that ball out into bottom middle. But Optic say, thank you very much. We were there waiting in batteries. We'll take a little bit of extra time, and the kills are flowing, and Optic are now going to be able to get that pipe set up instead.
4 dead there. Taulek and SoulSnipe will spawn up together, presumably at back elevator. Yes, you could just see on the edge of your screen. So we're starting things off here. Druk will get tagged just once, making it a little bit more of a difficult road into pipes. He'll have to slow that down, but it's a little bit of a different start here for the side of Optic. They're able to get already 25, 26 points on the board, and much more convincing lead. Rare loss there from TriPPPeY. Thought he might get the melee, doesn't. Lucid, though, will be there to clean up the damage. Last player alive on Sneaky.
You can see how Optic are already trying to play this slightly differently in the early stages by being more aggressive. They are actually searching for these Pioneers players rather than waiting for them to arrive and inevitably fly around a corner. And that is one of the best ways to play against a team who is very quick. You be proactive, you look for the fight instead. You're the ones to engage, you're the aggressors. But it can quickly go south when you play that way as well. So Optic just need to find that balance and make sure they don't get lulled into a trap from the Pioneers.
Druk here, noob combo out, not afraid to put it to use. Gonna go ahead and turn a corner. 3 dead, formal last player alive for Optic. Thinking about a pipes push, but right now they're not gonna be able to go anywhere with these nades popping off. Druk once again, though, on the other side, not content with just waiting around Whirlpool, trying to find where formal might have gone. The calls are gonna come in. Ooh, APG underneath the tag, but surprisingly, Druk gets away with the double melee there. Some nades on Mauler, knows that there might be players on bottom. That's a dangerous battle against a player like Lucid. There got a little bit nervous there on the plasma grenade. Lucid comes back for more and will win that battle in the end against the green gun. During all of this, Pioneers leading now 60-30, and quite a wild open in round number 2 as well. Manny's going to get the wall instead of the shock, but will come away with the weapon either way.
Plasma pistol so effective, of course. Fun fact, I got killed by the plasma pistol.
You did?
Bullet. Just the plasma pistol in matchmaking the other day. It was,
I was there.
It was a thing to behold. I was quite surprised, but also impressed that someone was able to do so, especially considering how high up my shields were. Anyway, 71-30, and as long as SoulSnipe can get away and position himself that this shock rifle can impact the game when his teammate spawns, then I think the Pioneers are in a decent enough spot, having a 41-point lead here.
SoulSnipe goes for the 360 fadeaway jumper there off of glass, somehow stays alive and will come away with the shock, but TriPPPeY not done challenging just yet. SoulSnipe will tag TriPPPeY once. It's a nice cleanup kill, so fantastic challenge there. Druk will be there to pick up the kill and also the weapon, and a little bit of deja vu here, but a different timeline here. Gaskin 71-30. Ooh boy! Nice little 2-tap there on Lucid, gets some damage on TriPPPeY as well. So a little bit of a similar scoreline. It's 71-30, but this time with 3:27 left in the round.
Yeah, there's a lot more time for Optic to kind of work out how they want to approach this, how they want to get that ball into a setup area, but at the same time, there's more time for Pioneers now to be a pain in the backside for Optic and just frustrate them by playing the Slayer game. As I mentioned, during scrims, a lot of the times, Pioneers were able to actually outslay Optic during the objectives, but their efficiency is what they really struggled with. So now if they could just focus on slaying for a little bit and then the objective naturally follow after, they could win this round.
Nice push there from TriPPPeY up top gold with that melee and some help from top control. He'll clear that out. That will pave the way for Lucid to grab that commando as well and continue engaging from gold. And as you said, a lot of time on the clock for Optic. They might be down by 40 points, but plenty of time for both teams to still make quite an effort. We got to call out Taulek. We talked about him in the pregame show. Lottie talked about just what this man's capable of. He's 11-5 in this game. Nobody else even on double-digit kills.
Well, all 4 dead were down for the Pioneers then, so this is the Optic chance to set up. That shock rifle's out of ammo, and that's going to be good news for Pioneers because they'll be a little bit worried. They won't know that, of course, though. They'll be probably thinking about just avoiding Bat Ledge for now. And APG is still finding kills. I mean, you're talking about Taulek, of course, because he's got 11, but similarly to last week, APG's been the one who's been picking up those kills. As I say that, of course, we do transition over to a killing spree. He is still frying.
Taulek 12 and 6 with some fantastic shots against Formal from Glass. He will expand the kill count, but guess what? The lead is once again gone. It's a story we've seen written too many times before. This is essentially a tied game as the points will continue to tick. Yes, indeed, 71-71. Optic Gaming now back in the lead. And all that's left of the Pioneers' lead is simply a memory here. Here's the home stretch, 2:29 left on the clock.
They did break the setup, of course. Unfortunately, though, taking that fight is going to allow Optic Gaming to push through Whirlpool after they got that kill. And notice how they're not just going to throw themselves into pipes. They want to take different angles here. They want to try and go for a pinch, and that's the best way to do so. Have a grapple to go alongside it. Yoink, I'll take that. Thank you very much. And now Optic, they're back scoring again.
They are indeed in a dangerous place here. They're about to take the lead yet again here. They're down by 3 points, but not for long with 2 dead still on Pioneers. Now the lead will change again, 83-82. Only 15 points to go.
Should be comfortable here on out unless Pioneers can manage to get probably a God nade to try and break this setup, but already they're taking damage, and now here comes the fly. You've got to go now.
Oh boy, and great team shot there. The ball will continue to be held in pipes. It's a safe place. Kills are still coming in, 99. Let's see what can happen here with Lucid. Of course, it's a triple kill from Lucid to close it. He will also get a celebratory trip off of the bat ledge to play the ball. Optic Gaming will take game number 1 and 2. Very convincing comeback wins in both rounds of ball on Oddball Recharge.
And incredible individual plays from several members of Optic as well to have those moments, not just, you know, Lucid's flashiness, but also a thing I was noticing in the kill feed was APG and his consistency. The same as 2 weeks ago on this map. He seems to really enjoy Recharge Ball. I think it's the angles that he can take, the support, the damage that he can put down, but also the consistency of his battle rifle means he's always a threat. No matter where you try and push him, how you try and push him, APG seems to have an answer, and that's why he just fits so perfectly on this Optic roster.
Also amazing to see how Optic use game management there, both the scoreboard and the clock, knowing even if they go down by, like we said, big 40-point deficits as we take a look at some highlights from that round. It's never really a factor for them because they know exactly how much time is on the board and how many points are still on the board as we take a look at highlights from both of those rounds. Here's the play from Lucid. My God, amazing shots against SoulSnipe now from no shields, able to win that a killing spree. He also finished that with a melee as well. He talked about it. Great shots from APG here on Taulek. I think one thing we also got to talk about, Gaskin, is the fact we started to see, even in the end of the first round, APG doing things like flying into control to force the trade. You talked about it. Optic really identified that they're allowing the last 2 players alive on Pioneers to really be a nuisance, and they started to shut that down pretty quickly.
Yeah, Optic just took the initiative. It's exactly what they started to do against some of the European sides as well. When they first started scrimming, the European sides, Ascend play very similar style to KCP, very quick, always pushing his 2s, always trying to make those last 2 players count in a way that maybe the other team isn't predicting, and Optic very quickly started setting traps, and they've done exactly the same here against KCP. It didn't necessarily go that way in round 1. Perhaps they just were, you know, warming into playing this squad once more, and they've suddenly remembered how KCP try and approach the game. But, you know, we have to say that the Kansas City Pioneers made a game of it. It's not like Optic blew them away in map number 1. Pioneers kept it close. Their slays were pretty good. They were winning individual fights, but it was just falling at that last hurdle once more, which, as you said, is kind of too familiar now for Pioneers. It seems to be against the Optics, against the Cloud9s. They do just kind of not get over that finish line, but Slayer Livefire is a new chance for them to try and show what they're made of.
Certainly do not let that 2-0 fool you. Both of those rounds saw Pioneers with a 40-plus point lead in each of them, and well-earned leads that they were able to get back-to-back 3 or 4 dead in order to get those points on the board. But as we said, Optic too strong on the game management, knowing exactly how much time they had to bring the comeback to life, and then they do it comfortably. Heading now to Livefire Slayer, it'll be a little bit of a different opportunity perhaps if Pioneers is able to get a little bit of points on the board, a little bit of control. They can maybe hold on to that lead a little bit easier in a game type like Slayer down. We are waiting for the restart of game number 2. It's going to be Optic versus Pioneers. Optic with 2 come from behind wins in Oddball Recharge to take that first game type, but now we set our sights on Livefire Slayer, traditionally the home of not Cloud9, but Optic Gaming, as they are about to jump into this one. We'll see if Pioneers has what it takes to tie up the series 1-1.
I'm sure Cloud9 would like for it to be their home as well. The amount of times they have failed against Optic Gaming on this map and mode is probably annoying at this point, but Cloud9 are there waiting in the winners finals. It would be the third week in a row that we've had an Optic versus Cloud9 matchup, and at the moment that's where we're heading. But the Pioneers in the early stages, they take a 4-1 lead, and they show that, you know, if they have that hot start, they can shut down even the greatest of squads.
Taulek stays alive on concrete, even thinks about peek and wraps all the way around, and already knows that they've pushed players out, so they will go 4-2 now. Overshield is up, and APG is going to be the one flying in. Oh my, Taulek with the timing. Fantastic shot on the overshield player. APG denied. That will pave the way for SoulSnipe to grab that overshield.
Not the angle you're usually expecting the sniper to be looking at you as well. He probably thought he was all clear after tower was at least dealt with initially by Optic Gaming, but those shots are the ones you have to be hitting if you've got a sniper in your hand and the overshield's coming up. We see them so often missed, or just the player bodied and then that player manages to pop that overshield off. So really important he was able to do so, and that puts Pioneers in such a good position for these next moments.
Oh, look how much Optic has tried to slow this game down. Lucid gets sniffed out at back green. Formal gets taken down as well, which will continue the lead here for Pioneers and open the rotate to tower. They're now up 9-6. Make that 10-6 as they will add another kill to the board, and they will get a full base trade here. So Optic doing whatever they can to slow the game down, but Pioneers continuing to apply the pressure.
Slowed the game down to try and avoid the overshield, but as you say, a couple of them got caught out, but APG down bottom middle did take 2 players with him, so he did very well to win those engagements despite falling himself. Helps when you have the heat wave, of course, but now they might have given that heat wave away to the Pioneers, so that's going to be a big indication of how these next moments will go as well. But Taulek, he knows there's people on C plat here, needs some help. Know you what? He does not need help. He'll do it all himself.
2 dead there, and Taulek somehow staying alive, and really interesting exchanges. Taulek is the guardian of the overshield today in game number 2. Back-to-back denials on that overshield as it pops up right now. Here's Formal. He will get away, and he will get the pop on the overshield. So despite heroic efforts from Taulek and 2 dead for Optic, they will still get this overshield. Now they're down by 5.
I mean, that's brave from Formal. You've seen 2 of your teammates get their heads ripped off, and he says, you know what? He's not going to hit 3 in a row. He's not getting the hat trick. Very important. You still have that confidence. You can't allow a player just to hold you off with the sheer amount of fear that you might get that shot hit against you, and then off the back of it, Formal does find a double kill, and they're back into this game somewhat. Our Optic Gaming, it's just 4 kills in it, but Pioneers a really hot start here.
Yeah, make it a 5-kill game, and to be honest, it's really similar to the last game, with the exception of things slowing down for that sniper rifle play. It has been a really consistent 2 dead for both sides, which brings this game still within 6 kills. However, Pioneers slowly getting the edge, and to be honest, they were doing the same thing in the slaying department in those first 2 rounds of Oddball as well. So things playing out in terms of slays pretty similarly to that game 1 so far. It will still be a 6-kill lead for Pioneers, make that 7.
Pioneers are so spread out at the moment, but they are still finding those kills. Look at the communication. SoulSnipe just picking up and finishing these kills, and unfortunately APG will put him down into the ground. But Optic were all running as a pack. You saw 3 players all in the same place. Maybe one was on a flank. They smelled out where Taulek was. But then the Pioneers, they were just running around saying, okay, well, we'll just listen and we'll communicate. But now here comes Optic Gaming, 22-23. They have been able to consistently sniff out this Pioneers squad.
The 6-kill lead is completely gone. Make it only a 1-kill lead. Formal now with Sniper at top tower, and this just spells disaster. Overshield in 30, and a man who can certainly keep players off of that power up as well is Formal. He will now rotate to Nest Bridge looking for big door angles, but once again, the exact same scenario that we saw. A comfortable lead for Pioneers is shut down so easily by Optic Gaming. Now they're only down by 2.
Well, Druk's taking this fight, though. Cleverly just plays the ledge and uses the grenades in those final moments rather than offering the no-scope to even happen. Just uses a grenade to his advantage. Now this overshield should go into the hands of Pioneers, and even though they blew their lead, it does look like they could try and regain on that once more, because you now need to put this overshield to use. And in my opinion, you put that sniper away whilst you have the OV. You help the rest of the team if you're going to get in these close range battles, and there we go. It's going to be dropped to a teammate. Perfect from SoulSnipe.
Great call there, Dan. Exactly what you expected to see. You see it on screen. Now they're going to leave that sniper behind so that SoulSnipe can use that overshield just to maybe win a pivotal 1v1 on this break. Checking everywhere back tower. Knows he needs to instead rotate to green as the comms are coming in. We'll see what he can do for pillars. Some big damage on one player. Repulsor as well. Oh, no. Trade there for Formal's. A pretty great trade, if you ask me. Formal able to somehow sneak that out, keep the game within 1.
That's twice now, Optic. When the overshield's been picked up by Pioneers, they've slowed the game down. They've hidden in their corner. corners, and they've said, let's play hide and seek. Let's see if you can actually manage to catch us. And if you can, we are not going to go down without a fight. They get the trades, they get the kills, they keep this within one. It's a very successful play from Optic 2 times in a row, but the Pioneers still find themselves ahead.
TriPPPeY tries to stay alive on concrete. He'll be taken down off of the double kill from Taulek. 2 dead for Optic. He's going to also get an assist off the back of that play, bringing them to their first 3-kill lead in quite some time. 6:46 left to go, and still a pretty tight match here on game number 2.
It's where it starts to slow down a little bit when it gets this close and you get past the 30-kill mark. But now with that pick, you start to push here if you are the Pioneers. You try and take advantage of it. You try and collapse. You try and make more kills. But with kills like that, it gets a little bit more difficult. Great response from Optic after losing that initial player just to use grenades to keep this Pioneer squad at bay.
APG with fantastic kills from back tower there. Those were big wins. Eventually, he will get comboed out of bottom tower, and this will be traded out. We got a highlight right now. SoulSnipe is 14-7 in this game, certainly putting the team on his back in a game that they lead by 7.
And what we needed to see from SoulSnipe, very different from the SoulSnipe that we saw a couple of weeks ago when they faced up against Optic Gaming. He was the player, maybe the reverse side of those statistics. So now he's putting on a performance which is carrying this Pioneer squad through at the moment to a possible victory. And the plasma pistol does connect, but Lucid just able to get away. But unfortunately, it means that TriPPPeY had to take the 1v1.
Yeah, big wins there coming in. Now we go back over to Formal, but Manny doing a lot of damage, and he does get the green gun. Manny sets it up perfectly, picks up another one. Huge wins there as they will now go to 42-35. Manny with incredible plays from C-Plat, gets the info on Overshield, forces a player to drop down, also picks up a kill top mid, and then eliminates the Overshield here. Now they're up by 9.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Formal should have known there was going to be a green gun potential there, but at the same time, I think any anger he takes there, he's probably going to be facing the same position. It does mean the Pioneers find themselves 45-38 ahead, just 5 more kills to take us to a best-of-3 third map. But we have seen comebacks. Optic are very capable of doing this, so the Pioneers need to close this out. They cannot allow this one to slip through their fingers.
Still not over, and we've seen incredible comebacks on this game type, but Taulek wants to hear none of that. He'll pick up another one, that's number 47, and continue to apply the pressure on scoreboard. All the pings going down. 47-41, they do convert one of them. 49 looking for the final one in-house. SoulSnipe not able to find it right away. Will be challenged from 2 different angles. Will not get it just yet, but it will come in the end. That'll be a team nade on TriPPPeY there on the garage door. 50-43 is your final score, and Pioneers will take game number 2.
Livefire is not the fortress it once was for Optic. That's what I've been thinking for these past few weeks, but I think that's confirmation that's happening there. And yes, they are still fantastic at Livefire, regardless of the mode they're playing. The Pioneers saying that, you know what, if we can play at a pace, if we can hit those shots, that especially the ones on the Overshield in the early stages, why can't we take down Optic on some of their better game types? It means we go to a game 3, and I'm delighted because the Pioneers, they deserve these moments. They deserve these matches in the limelight because these 4 guys have just gone from strength to strength every time that we've seen them at tournaments. Yes, okay, they haven't necessarily broken that kind of top 4 barrier when we talk about overall standings between these teams, but I think they're getting closer and closer to doing so.
Taking a look at some stats here, and who else are we going to look at but SoulSnipe, 17-10 in the end. +7 in a game that they win by 7. He maintained that margin, essentially the length of the game that the team also held that same lead. A fantastic performance from him. And Pioneers several times over and over, Dan, we saw them, just like you said, blow the lead. And they're able to find the resilience, they dig deep, and they're able to take game number 2.
Let's take a look at the damage, because that's really what tells the story. 4K for both SoulSnipe and for Manny. Just the 2.4K for Taulek, but you've got to remember, he had a sniper rifle just kind of watching and overseeing the rest of the team for quite some time, not necessarily getting into those engagements with the battle rifle. On the other side, it's a really different story for APG from game 1 to game number 2. Only 2.2K damage for him, but we've got a game 3, but that game 2, it was a real masterclass, you've got to say, from Pioneers with how they were able to not fall apart mentally. So many teams would have crumbled after throwing away a 5-6 kill lead, and I think Optic would have taken advantage of that. But the Pioneers, they stayed true to how they wanted to play the game, and they found that W.
Yeah, here's one of Formal pushes. You see they're down by about 5 here. It's a great push on C-Plat. He's able to make sure that he can get as many kills as he can on the board. This was the SoulSnipe, I believe, grab here where he's able to just help out just a little bit on Sandbags, help bottom middle. He goes for a little bit much here, right? He finds APG late. Probably didn't need to over-challenge here with these 2 stickies, and that kept the game relatively close, but as we said, right here, only 1 kill separating these two. Formal gets a trade he should not have gotten, that SoulSnipe should not have given up on your screen there in the end. But look at this, it's a 6-kill lead. Here's the play from Manny, and I totally agree, Dan. If nothing else, the comms should have come in that Manny had the green gun on C-Plat. Surprising to see Optic let that happen.
Yeah, I mean, Formal will probably look back and say, well, I could have maybe gone bottom middle towards pillars, I could have maybe gone to house, but whichever angle you take, Manny's probably going to be somewhere trying to hit that shot at the same time. But you could go for a play of sending a dummy, a decoy, someone else to walk in front of you when you are the overshield player, but then you're committing a lot of resources to top middle. So it's very easy to look back at a play and try and analyze it like that, but I think that ultimately you have to put the respect down to Manny to having that plasma pistol at the ready to make sure that he could take down the OV when it and if it did approach him. Game number 3 though, capture the flag on Catalyst, and I mentioned it in the pre-show, Andy. They played each other in a scrim just a couple of days ago, and it was 4-3 in favor of Optic Gaming. So that suggests that this is not going to be an easy game for either side, and I'm expecting a real tough go at this one from the Pioneers. I think this could be their best chance that they've ever had at taking down a squad like Optic Gaming.
I think so too. We've talked a lot about these new game types and what they might offer a team that has traditionally a lower seed against the higher seeded teams, and this is maybe an opportunity to steal the series from Optic Gaming. Only 5 flags to go here on Catalyst CTF. We don't always see it go to 5 flags, but we'll have to see just how fast this is going to be. If the last 2 games, Dan, have been any indication, this will be a pretty back and forth match here, especially off the start.
I want to keep an eye on Druk throughout this one. He's the one who was the damage dealer when they were scrimming on this game type. He was able to put down a lot of numbers for this team, and it allowed the rest of the squad to just be able to pick up kills, perhaps where they wouldn't be able to if he wasn't able to find that much damage. Lucid trying to use the plasma pistol this time to take down the OV, but it doesn't work out. Pioneers get the OV, they get the openers, and they're the ones being aggressive. 0
kills for Optic off of those openings. Take a look at this. They'll finally get their first kill on the board, but at what cost? It was 3 dead here at the time of the pull. Only 1 player alive down in the bottom court. SoulSnipe going to sniff that player out and gets lucky timing on the back whack. He needs to try to stay alive in a situation like this. Lucid already flying into his own core to try to challenge the flag. Kills going for both sides. However, 2 dead now on each one, and Optic will have a spawner coming up fresh as well.
Yeah, notice how Optic come back to the flag. They don't try and overextend. They don't do anything silly there by giving Pioneers the chance to even run that flag halfway across the map. They deal with the problem at hand at the earliest point possible, rather than trying to fight them in their base, where if any mistake happens, there is no chance of retrieving that flag whatsoever.
Taulek knew he was in trouble, tried to clamber back up. He will eventually get punished here. 2 dead. Manny with the skewer in hand. That thing might be sent to the depths. It'll be a while before we see that. Druk, last player alive on his own main ramp. He knows the pressure's coming in. Trying to do whatever damage he can. Gets a little bit on TriPPPeY. That should be enough to pave the way for SoulSnipe to get a nice trade in the back of the base. APG almost gets a pull. Fantastic work from Manny. Last player alive got the damage he needed to slow down what could have been an Optic run. That's 3 dead for Optic Gaming.
So what's important? Oh, and that's even better. Have the repulsor at the ready. Unfortunately, you send him to a teammate, but Manny was also prepared. Druk picks up the sword, and Pioneers play that one perfectly. This is why the equipment, very important to be focusing on this map. As you mentioned in the pre-show, you've got to be using that grapple to try and get the overshield, but the repulsor is the greatest counter you can have to the sword play.
Taulek tries to go straight into a 1v2 with that. That's not going to work there. He gets caught off in that 1v2, and it's going to be a free overshield as a result there. Surprising approach from Pioneers. Maybe they thought they had the timing and the angles right, but that'll be a very easy grab from Optic Gaming as they pick off 2 kills off of the back of it as well here. Off of the first opening minutes, we still do see a slaying lead coming in for Pioneers. Taulek leading the charge once again. He's 7-5-2.
Well, that overshield did disappear quicker than Onset's coffee in the morning, but unfortunately, I don't think Optic were really able to do too much with it because of that just play from Pioneers. Yes, they allowed them to get a free pickup, but they were more than prepared for that overshield player to walk upon them, and the melt was gonna happen. 3 players all looking at Formal at the same time. The overshield gets taken out of the equation, and this has been such a back and forth. Slays perhaps gone in favor of Pioneers for the most part, but they haven't been able to get any flags to show for it.
Yeah, if you were hoping for just a crazier start as the last 2 games, you've certainly seen it so far. It's been action-packed, and teams truly holding forward against one another, not really wanting to give the other an inch in terms of map control. SoulSnipe trying to figure out where he might be able to do some damage here on the gold side. He will find himself with 2 teammates dead, but it's a great play from Lucid using the abnormally large back corners of this map to his advantage.
You know, it's very intelligent play though. It's how many times do you see players like sitting in those areas with the sword. He tries to check the angle, and because of it, Optic get the cap. If he hadn't have made that play, if they hadn't have stopped the sword, Manny could have been in a position where he was able to take down a flag runner or take down some of these guys in the base. Optic go 1-0 up, but now off the back of it, Pioneers are running a flag and they go in top middle here.
Look at SoulSnipe also just using the geometry to avoid the damage off of those main ramp nades. They do throw the flag top. We've talked about here, grapple would be huge in this part. The door opens just in time. SoulSnipe continuing to bring the flag back, but he knows he needs the flag. They will drop and slay.
Gets one. Needs to just do enough damage on the second to try and help his team as much as possible. Big grenades coming out from Druk at this point. You know full well that he's going to get aggressive on this because he got that damage, and he knew he got that damage, but have they done enough to get the flag moving? Yes, they have, and it's tied up just like that, 1-1. Catalyst capture the flag can be so quick with those counter caps.
Yeah, what a series between these two so far. It's been fantastic play in game number 3 as well from both sides. Really textbook play on Catalyst, if we can say that this early in Catalyst's life cycle. 2 dead now for Optic, 2 dead also for Pioneer, so things will slow down off of this reset for just a second. SoulSnipe, grapple in hand, going to use that to get even further in on the gold side.
And remember, top 3 is what these teams are playing for as well. Guaranteed top 3. If you get to that winners finals, this would be what Pioneers have been desperately searching for many a week playing through Pro Series. Yeah, all year. Like, they've been able to break into top 4, but top 3, a very different story indeed, and it would be a real statement to everyone else in the competition if they are able to do so. But still a long way to go at the moment. They are going to be pulling a flag, but they've lost a couple of players.
APG looking like the girl from the ring there on, the Grudge on the main ramp there, somehow just turns around on all fours with his arms back around and lays down shots to the main ramp immediately. The flag is still going to be out there, and that flag standoff return's going to come in though. Now Druk is waiting and baiting, now trying to look for this backpack. He's going to be able to get on an APG, but he needs help.
Needs help. First grenade is the wrong way as well. He knew there was going to be a player there and waiting, but not able to tag Lucid with it. 2 players have fallen from Pioneers. Optic have 3. You'd imagine there should be a flag cap, but there is still going to be time. No, there is not. 2-1. Optic find themselves leading once more.
Optic with some great presence there. Lucid also predicting the nade coming up on the flag side of the ramp, just as you pointed out there. Instead, just loops himself back around to the backside of that ramp to instead take the damage without taking the nade damage. A huge play there. Otherwise, it could have been a 1v2 flag return scenario. Taulek cleaning up some kills here, though. That'll be a Killjoy ending formal spree. Going to try to double back out here, and did not finish that reload completely. That was very strange. I'm not even sure how the reload animations work there. He's 17-9, though. 6 minutes left in this game, still a lot to play.
And maybe the 17 kills played a part in that challenge. Thought that he had done enough damage initially. Just didn't quite work out on that occasion. Still plenty of time, though, for the Pioneers. And similarly to what happened in the scrim a couple of days ago, the slays are all going well, but it just seems like they are struggling to get that flag moving. And they're not getting grooving with this overshield as well. So close to being able to pop it.
Oh, boy, and we almost see Manny go for a little dip there. He'll get the clamber and stay alive. So in the end, it will still be a Pioneers grab there. You have to wonder if SoulSnipe waited just a fraction of a second. It felt like he sprinted before he started the pop. Certainly possible, but oh my God, there was an overshield in play. There is no longer an overshield in play.
I also think that Taulek grappled that flag to get it some distance on the other side of the map, but I don't know if it's going to work out. No, Druk is still moving it, so Taulek with that grapple at least give Pioneers a chance here, because he really took it from a position where Optic had good sightlines on it.
APG gets the kill. He baits the nades on the return, then jumps off the return. He will eventually get taken down, and they had even more nades waiting for him. Manny with a double kill. That's huge. That flag should continue moving. It's on the stand. Manny with the home run slide. He will bring that one into home plate. 2-2 now with 4:49 left, and we have a fantastic ending here to our series ending game number 3.
I wish we could see the POV there from Taulek and how he was able to grapple that, because I feel like Optic were in a position where the flag was somewhere around here on the map, right? And then Taulek just grappled it from outside over towards one of the Ivy or Gold sides, and where Optic thought they had cover, where they thought the grenades would be able to bank off, unfortunately that grapple ruined everything for them. And you were the one who mentioned it in the pre-show. This grapple has got to be played for. It's got to be prioritized because it can do things like that.
Absolutely. We've seen as that flag is now going to start as well. 2 dead for the Pioneers. It will be Optic starting a flag run of their own. Formals is going to go ahead and toss that out, stay alive, and think about reslaying. He finds SoulSnipe and will get first shot on him. SoulSnipe with some great grenades, but they're not enough to take down Formals. He stays alive on the gold side, and this is the last player you want just sitting on your flag. Look at this, just baiting even more. He should be able to continue that run, and this is fantastic play. They'll give up the overshield, but with this many guns on it, they're going to melt that overshield. Manny will fall as well. Flag will get juggled. Luckily, it's still alive, but that will delay the run.
That could have been a guaranteed cap. It may still be a cap, don't get me wrong, but those little misslips can be the reason why a team can get to the other side and still have an engagement in your base to try and stop it. But it looks like it should be okay, will be okay, and Formal wouldn't have to worry and have maybe some rough sleep about that one. Instead, Optic do find themselves 3-2 up with 3 minutes and 25 seconds remaining, and it seems like Optic's starting to heat up a little bit here.
Manny trying to stay alive on the main ramp. He'll be forced spikers and actually take down TriPPPeY. That's 2 dead for Optic here. And worth noting at this stage, as Druk is also continuing to defend, and that flag run will start. Taulek still leading the game. He's 20-13. It's about the 3rd time we've said that in 3 games. Quite a performance from him. This game is far from over. 3 minutes left, and it's only 1 flag separating the 2.
Flags are moving. Skewer is also arriving on the map. Druk going back just to try and get his stragglers. Will find one, but he needs to return to his base ASAP because Lucid's been able to get the opening kill, and the rest of Pioneers are struggling to deal with the Optic barrage that's happening in their base.
You have to wonder the value of that kill that he went for. The flag will return, and Druk deciding to push into the enemy's courtyard. Yes, he took down Formal, but at what cost? It felt like they really could have used that gun, also that sword in the back of the base. So that flag will return, and Pioneer's not going to have too much time to think about it here. Actually, Druk going to go for an outside flank here with the grapple. He'll hit the first one, connect it to the second one. This should bring him right into the enemy flag here, and he's actually going to do it in just 2. Use the 3rd just in case, and flag not yet pulled. Going to see exactly how this plays out. There goes the flag. They only had 1 dead, 3v3 at the time of the pull.
Well, Manny gets a trade onto APG, so it's a 2 versus 2. It's a little bit of a fumble there, as I almost fumbled my words at the same time, but this grapple has allowed Druk to surprise Optic and get this flag on the move, but now he's going to have to just try and take a fight here. Leave that flag in a relatively safe position and hope this sword can do some damage.
Ooh, it's a big kill on Lucid. Can he stay alive in the back of the base? Formal will pick up that kill. SoulSnipe was last player alive momentarily, as we're now on board with him. He's going to now have to try to get the stop. The flag has been returned. What was a safe position is no longer. All players overloading gold side, and it's an APG overshield as well. But big kills coming in, but APG with the overshield just anchoring this position for his team.
Yeah, he can do the damage against those players who have been able to challenge the flag directly, but who's going to deal with the overextenders? That's going to be the main question that Optic are going to have to ask, and it looks like APG's been able to do a job to win this side of the map, but what's happened elsewhere? Druk has been able to get 1 kill. The flag is moving, but if APG can get the return, he can try and put himself 4-2 up here. Just has to be careful of these grenades. Does pop it in 4-2 with 1 minute 10. Optic looking good.
That really should be the icing on the cake here for Optic Gaming. It's a huge final run there, and not enough numbers for Pioneers on that final run. Lucid also with the skewer in hand, looking to skew someone. Just going to hold this gold side angle, which is such an easy angle to hold with a weapon like the skewer, just forcing them through the cheese grater. He'll pick up another one. That will be 3 dead yet again. 45 seconds. It could be another heartbreaking game 3 defeat for Pioneers.
That is a graphic image of being forced through a cheese grater that I'm probably going to have terrible dreams about tonight. But 37 seconds left. As you say, this should be enough from Optic, but it is a map where you can get back-to-back flags pretty quickly. So the Pioneers, they need to move now, and they need to be making sure they pick up the kills. But Optic almost setting up defensively at this point, just watching their angles and playing it safe.
2 dead for Pioneers. APG also just going to toss this flag out, continue the move as well. Not content with just a 4-2, going to keep running the flag. Knows he needs to slay just a bit. He has the help, so he's just going to bring this one in. This is going to be game, set, and match. The 5th flag will go, and the game was tied for quite some time, but Optic will end it with a score of 5-2, and they will take the series.
Yeah, and just looking at, you know, the slays, the Pioneers, they almost had the better of Optic again in terms of that department. I didn't get time to do quick math there, but it looks like they had around 77, Optic around 74 as a rough little look. But I certainly feel like Optic are just far more efficient when it comes to those flag runs, and even though we saw that play of the grapple right behind the base, you get that flag on the move. That's the risk you run when you pull a flag without control of the map. The other team can get those kills in the base, and they can get that return and get that counter cap, and Optic took full advantage of that.
Here's the stats we're taking a look at here. I'll let you do some quick math, Dan, as we take a look at some of the highlights. In the end, talked a lot about how players were popping off. Taulek originally 20-13 at one point. In the end, though, look at TriPPPeY, 24 and 21. Also, you have Formal there with 22 and 18, big numbers from the duo.
It was more kills for Optic in the end, so they were able to finally get over that line and outslay the Pioneers. And I think that was what is important previously, where they may have struggled in other games that would allow those pulls to actually happen. The Pioneers, unfortunately, just fell off a little bit, even though stats looked pretty good for Taulek. it just wasn't enough to get them into the game. Stats-wise and damage-wise, over 6k for 3 members of Optic. What else can you ask of a squad who just seemed to be very much firing together and firing well? They had a rough scare on the Slayer live fire, and going into Catalyst Capture the Flag, they were probably concerned that this could be a dangerous game type to play indeed, but they kept their heads, they kept a level head, and unfortunately the Pioneers weren't able to topple that.
Yeah, Pioneers, once again, as we said, it's a story all too familiar for them, but my God, did they put up quite a fight. Taking a look at some of the highlights from that fantastic game number 3, it was Optic who was able to score first, but not long after, off of the counter with some great control. Take a look at this. Once again, we said SoulSnipe knew he had to drop and shoot. Getting that single kill on APG could be the difference maker, even some extra damage on TriPPPeY at the end there. That paves the way for Druk to come in, do a little bit of extra damage, and clean up this kill on bottom Ivy. Plays like that are what tied the game at 1-1.
And I remember last week when the Pioneers played Cloud9 on this game type, there was a situation where they had to either go for the overshield or go for the flag. And in the end, it seemed like they went for the wrong one. And because of it, they lost a flag. And we were left asking, should they have gone for the other decision? It happened again in this game game today, where Druk had the sword, could have gone back with his team, decided to instead push into the opposition base and secure the 1 kill, but then watched his flag get returned as the rest of his team were bombarded by grenades. Had he gone back with the team, he could have helped and potentially even done enough damage to keep that flag moving. Those are how crucial some of these decisions can be in top tier games like this. Just minor decisions that actually turn out to be major decisions in the grand scheme of things.
You do have to wonder, and you have to think also, how common is that going to be as you see the 5th flag punched in for Optic Gaming, the series clinching 5th flag there. They'll win as you take a look at the series layout, the series 2-1. A hard-fought series from Pioneers, not making it easy along the way, and these games were all tied at different times, and we even saw some big Pioneers leads throughout this series as well. However, in the end, it will be Optic Gaming with a convincing final game of 5-2 CTF on Catalyst to close out the series and send Pioneers to the elimination bracket as we bring the whole group back in. Lottie and Mark, quite a series to start off the day.